Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 480. I had the white pieces and played d4. And my opponent played the rare move knight c6, the Lundin defense. And oddly enough, I had played this not too long ago, and I still remembered some of the moves from the previous game. So I had played d5, and the other game went like this: knight e5, e4. So this seemed like to be a reasonable way to play. And now the logical move for black here would be e6 to undermine the center. This knight is loose, it's true, but there's no immediate tactical way to take advantage of that. So you see e6, top choice of the database and also the chess engine. My opponent played d6 instead. And that's also what happened in the last game, and I even remember that f4 from that game would have been a good move from the post-mortem of that game. So I get a pretty good position out of the opening just from just from that little bit of memory. Pushes his knight around. Of course, this is not the best defense for black in any case, so you probably get a decent position no matter what you do. But I keep a little bit of an edge for a while here. I go knight f3. I want to keep his queen out of these squares when the e-pawn comes forward. He pushes with e5 right away. And now I could just kind of sit on this position, develop some more pieces. I pushed on with the exchange. It's interesting, the chess engine likes the either pushing on with f5, which I considered, or d takes en passant. And I didn't realize that this would be good. But, well, looking at it after you put it on the board, it looks like a pretty solid advantage over here. I have closed off the f-file, but it looks like I have pretty good space advantage. So that would be a reasonable way to play. I took, after e5, with the idea of opening up the f-file, maybe getting an attack here. Takes back with the knight, and now I want to keep this knight here to protect these squares. If he takes, my queen will come out, and I'll still be protected against checks from the queen over here. So no problem, I guess. I went ahead and played the move bishop d3, holding on to the e-pawn. Let's see, so knight takes en passant. Knight takes f3 check. He could have played this way. I was thinking queen takes, and then this check doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah, that's true. The queen's guarding here anyway, and I can play g3 to block the check. Okay, so that's kind of what I was thinking. Bishop d3. So bishop d3, defending the pawn wasn't strictly necessary. Maybe some other developing move would be better. Bishop f4. Well, I wanted to develop that bishop so I could castle quickly. That was the main idea. So knight f6, and I castle. And, I've got a pretty comfortable position here, I think. I've got an open f-file. But I have given back some of that advantage. You'll see the advantage I have dropped. But I keep an edge for white through most of this. And at this point, after the bishop comes out here, I realize I can trade off this knight and create a queenside pawn majority. And that gives me a second idea for attacking in this game, which is to push the queenside pawns forward. So I have kind of two different plans going on in this position, which makes it interesting. I think this gives an advantage to white, because if you play some weakening moves on the king side, I can continue with a king side attack, or if he ignores the queen side, I can push these pawns forward and get an advantage over there. He castles here. I play knight to c3, just completing my development before embarking on any big plans. He plays b6 to hold up my queenside pawns, and I go a3, planning for b4, and he plays a5. So right here, the logical kind of follow-up to my plan would be rook to b1 and then b4. And I was worried about him replying with the move a4, but that's just not even a move in this position, because the knight can just take that pawn on a4. So this move I played, b3, is kind of preparing to meet a4 with b4, but it's completely unnecessary. I could have just put my rook there and pushed the pawn to b4 right away. So I've kind of given up some of my opening advantage. Black is equalized after that. So I kept the edge up to this point, but b3 was really not a good move. Okay, bishop g4, kicking my queen around, and bishop dropped back to h5. And now I play bishop g5. So if you want a tactical quiz, bishop g5 is a mistake. And so why don't you try and figure that one out. Pause the video and think about it for a while. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. After bishop to g5, black has this spring-back tactic, I call it. The knight can take on d5, where it protects the bishop. So after knight takes d5, my bishop is hanging. If I just retreat my bishop, then he retreats his knight and he's won a pawn. And if I take his bishop with the tempo on the queen, he can take back with the knight. That's why it's very important that the knight go exactly to this d5 square. That's the tactic. Goes to d5 and defends e7. So the spring back tactic, you got to watch out for that. Anytime you have, anytime black has this battery with the queen and bishop, and you have a piece on or a pawn on the d5 square, then that tactic is on. It's funny, I mean, there are other types of tactics that are kind of similar. For example, I'm pretty much aware of this knight takes e4 tactic usually. It's a common idea. Say if the queen was on the d2 square, knight takes e4 as a tactic because it hits the queen, so I have to respond to that, and then this bishop can be hanging. Although in this case, I guess if the queen was on d2, knight takes, I take back with the knight and defend the bishop, so it doesn't quite work. But that's that kind of tactic I'm kind of aware of, but I sometimes miss this spring back tactic when he takes on d5. Anyway, he missed it too. Fortunately for me, he just retreated his bishop to g6, and now I managed to keep an edge, although bishop takes f6, maybe not the best way to proceed. Bishop back to e3, keeping material on, is what the chess engine likes. Interesting. Well, I guess I'm giving up the bishop pair. So cancel that. After bishop takes, he takes back. I have given up the bishop pair, but at this point I was thinking, well, this is not such a great bishop, and I can continue with my queenside expansion. I'm giving up on the kingside plan at this point, but continuing with the idea of expanding on the queenside. So we get some exchanges here. He could trade rooks down, but he plays queen d7. That's in case I take the rook, he can take back with a rook, so good move, I think. I play the move queen to e3. I'm just preparing to expand these pawns, getting my pieces into place, and he lashes out. So this is kind of an interesting moment in the game. Black is still better, but after c5, black is worse, so that's where the real turning point of the game is. And the thing is, this majority of pawns looks menacing, and so black is kind of prompted to try and do something about it. But in fact, the chess engine is saying there's no immediate threat, and a move like h6 could be played here, or bishop to e7. Bishop to e7 makes some sense, preparing to put some pressure on these pawns. But it's just that the pressure, the kind of the psychological pressure of these pawns grabbing space and rushing in on you and threatening to become a threat at some point. It exerts kind of a psychological pressure on the black, and so at some point they're often inclined to lash out with some move that breaks up the pawns, and so that's what I think c5 was about. Now this is a mistake. I could just take that pawn and actually win a pawn. And I think I didn't even notice that, but I thought taking out passant was good, and this turns out to be even better because it keeps my pawns together. And it turns out I can win this pawn anyway. He takes back, and I go knight to d5, so I'm immediately threatening to take on b6. And he trades rooks. And then he plays h6. So this gives up the pawn, but he can't hold on to it. If he tries to defend it, then I can attack it. And then if he tries to defend it again, I can push on with c5. So because of this pin now, I'm going to win that pawn in any case. And so he just has to give up on that pawn. So h6 maybe, well, the engine is indicating you should probably oppose rooks on the a file as a way to try and simplify things, or bishop d8. Okay, but h6 makes it even easier for me. I can just grab the pawn. And after the trade of queens, I think this is just a winning end game for me. Let's see, do you have anything better? Not really. Retreating the queen, I can still push those pawns forward. Yeah, so I just have a winning position at this point. He goes rook d8, hitting my bishop, and I block with the knight. And then he goes after the pawns. He's going to try and harass these pawns as much as possible, but I don't believe it's possible for him to stop them at this point. Bishop comes back here, push on with c5. Yeah, my pieces turn out to be nicely positioned to support the advance of these pawns, so This worked out well. It was with the f6, opening up a line for his bishop to come back into the game and help with the defense over here. Push on with c6, threatening immediately to fork these two pieces. What should he play here? Bishop to f7, getting away from the fork. It's going to be a losing game in any case. But he played a move that loses quicker. This bishop here, check. Well, I almost moved my king, but I realized, oh, I can take here. And this is a really nice tactic with the c-pawn push. These two pawns, the connected pass pawns, can help each other out in more than one way. Why is that not working? Okay, there we go. This pawn here prevents the rook from getting behind the pawn, so it's defending a key square. This pawn is defending the b8 square, so there's no way to stop that pawn from becoming a queen at this point. So my opponent resigned. Anyway, a nice game and a nice little tactic at the finish there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.